Hello friends, family, and Vaccaro coworkers. I've decided to do something a bit different this year, and I'm asking for your support of my National MS Society fundraising campaign via video message. Many of you have been very generous supporters of me in the past. Others might be considering supporting me for the first time. Regardless, I thank you for considering support for a cause that's so important to me. I've been involved with the National MS Society for 9 years now. First as a bike rider, then as team captain for Vaccaro. I've been a camp volunteer, and now I'm a member of the Board of Trustees for the South Central region of NMSS. All of these roles have been very rewarding, and every year I continue my association with the MS Society, I recommit to my desire to serve. I typically share at least one story with you each year of an inspiring moment I've experienced over the past year. This year I've had so many that it was difficult to choose, but I'll share one that especially touched me and inspired me to renew my fundraising efforts. In November of last year, I attended the annual meeting for the National MS Society. And this is a meeting where all stakeholders gather. There's staff members and board members, people living with MS, clinicians, volunteers, and family members. And there were a variety of speakers that shared their stories with us and updated us on research efforts. But there were two little boys there that especially grabbed my heart. Their names were Connor and Jackson Grossman. Their mom was diagnosed with MS several years ago. And as many of you know, being a mom is always a challenging job, but being a mom living with MS poses its own unique challenges. Finding the energy to keep up with your children's active lives and battling the fatigue and the limited leg movements that MS often brings can be overwhelming to a mom who wants to be her children's idol in all regards. Young Connor decided at age 5 that he wanted to do something to help mommy feel better and help her with his MS, or with her MS. An avid artist, he decided that he was going to use his artistic talents to make a difference for his mom. So he came up with this unique idea to drop marbles into a cup of paint and roll them in a cigar box to create a very contemporary, abstract piece of artwork. That original idea has blossomed into a full-fledged business called Marbles for MS, and you can look it up on the web at www.marblesforms.com. But what Connor does now is he creates thank you notes and holiday cards, cycling jerseys, bookmarks, t-shirts, and he sells them to raise money for the cause. To date, and really it was in March of this year, it's been a year since he started his business, and he raised over $45,000 between March of 2011 and right now. I just thought this was an amazing accomplishment for a now 6-year-old, and he was inspired by his mother's illness to help in some way. Or again, as he says, that I wanted to do something to help make mommy feel better. Let's just say that after hearing Connor's story, I knew I had no room to make excuses about my own fundraising, and I needed to step it up and bring my game. So knowing how inspired I was by Connor's story, I wanted my fellow teammates on Vaccaro to hear this story too. And in late March of this year, when we had the Walk for MS, we invited Connor and Jackson to come into San Antonio with his mom and dad and meet the Vaccaro team. So Connor did a demonstration for us, and he held up his artwork for us to see. And when Mr. Klesse, our CEO, saw the piece, he was so tickled with what Connor was doing that he offered to buy a painting from Connor. And jokingly, Connor told Mr. Klesse, "Mr. Klesse, that drawing is going to cost you $10,000. Well, the room got a little quiet, but Mr. Klesse responded by saying, "Well, what's the most anyone has ever paid you for one of your art pieces, Connor?" Connor smiled shyly and said, "Well, about $2,500. And so, of course, Mr. Klesse, being the generous man he is and a big heart, he immediately pulled out his wallet and he wrote a check for $10,000. This was my standout memory this past year, and again, one that inspires me to write and talk to you today and ask you to help me to raise $5,000 for the National MS Society this year. I've placed 2 links at the end of this email message for you to see Connor and Jackson, give you a visual to tie to the story. And I've placed some other information in there just for you to see some of the progress we've made in terms of research this past year with MS. So I'm going to wrap this up and go for the ask. This is my annual ask. I always ask you to consider a gift to the MS Society, not for me, but for many friends, family, and strangers out there who live with this awful disease. Our donations are making a difference, and the percentage of money going to MS research this past year was our largest yet. If you would like to learn more about MS research, please again see the attached presentation. And additionally, I wanted to make sure that you knew that we have 2 researchers that live here in San Antonio who are making incredible progress. We've got Dr. Forrestuber at UTSA, whose research is actually close to going to human clinical trials. And if you would be interested in seeing what he's doing, I would love to introduce you to Dr. Forrestuber and take you on a tour of the lab. If you've already given to one of my teammates or maybe to another MS supporter, walker, bike rider, absolutely no worries in not giving a donation to me. I totally understand. If you do, however, have it in your heart and your wallet to consider a donation to my fundraising effort, I would be most grateful. At the end of the email that this link is embedded in, I've included an online link to my web account, and it's really easy to donate just by clicking and hit donate now on my account. As always, I thank you so much for your support. Thank you for listening to my story, and I hope to see you out on the road. Thanks so much.